Gabriela Slim is the youngest daughter of the millionaire Carlos Slim. She has 16 years old at now. Last month, her family and her felt the horror. It was a normal day. Gabriela had played tennis at her backyard before her parents took her to take a dinner, but she didn't answer. And her brother went out to looking for her, but she didn't there. He was worried and going inside her home to tell her parents what happened. They called the police after looked for her in all the house. At that moment they realized that one people kidnapped her because he wasn't being at home. The police and the detectives came to the home and they got some clues that say that the people was a man who had white hair. They start thinks who was. The first suspect that they think was John, a murderer who had been escaped to the prison 2 days before. All of them got scared for that idea. The next suspect was Mr. Steven, a man who was fired off to the Mr. Slim company, and he said that he would be taking revenge. The third suspect was Mr. Milton, a neighbor who had been showed feelings to the little Gabriela before. And it was an old man. The police and detectives went to interrogate the suspect, but they discarded John the murderer because he had been captured hours before the kidnap. Then they come to Mr. Stephen home, but he wasn't there. His wife said that he went out to looking for a job like every morning. And the police and the detectives told the girl that her husband should be stayed at her home tomorrow. Then they come to Mr. Milton's home, but they discovered that Mr. Milton moved on to another city last night, the same day of the crime. And the next day, the detectives went to Mr. Stephen's home and they asked about what he was doing at the same time of the crime. He said that he was on a job interview since 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then they came to another interview and he returned to her home at 8 p.m. Then the police and the detectives removed a white hair to his head to check if it was the same of the phone in the crime scene. The police discovered that Mr. Steven told the truth about where he was, and the DNA results negative. The another part of detectives was looking for Mr. Milton Newhoff, and after a lot of perseverance, they discovered that he moved on to Sinaloa. They came to the airline, and a flight attendant said that Mr. Milton looked so strange during the flight, and another airline worker told that the garbage of Mr. Milton was so big and so heavy. And the detectives went to Sinaloa. The police and the detectives came to Mr. Milton's home, and he showed surprise and a little bit scary. The detectives tried to remove a white hair from his head, but he shows aggressive. At this time, the police heard and listened a strange sound of the bedroom. They came, and it was Gabriela. Gabriela, so skinny with a lot of ties, and so scary. Mr. Milton was arrested, and he don't have a legal judgment because he knows he could stay at prison and deserve the sentence. The law said that he spent his whole life in prison because Gabriela wasn't the first girl who he kidnapped. and she's safe to be killed by him, like her other victims. But it was the first time that the police caught him kidnapping. I want to say something that history isn't true, it's just from my homework.